Greetings, everyone. I hope you can hear me over this loud, thunderous activity outside. Welcome to another edition of the Peaceful Solution Character Education Program Teacher Certification Course. If you're here in Abilene at the Peaceful Solution headquarters and wherever you're joining us from, please be seated. Thank you for coming. Like I said, I'm going to be in competition with the rain out there that's coming down, so hopefully everyone can hear me okay. We're picking up on page 158 of the respect unit. Again, if you're following us online, the top of the Facebook page, there's a drop-down menu that has the manuals that we've been covering in the intermediate junior high series. We're on the fourth book in the series entitled Respect. So go ahead and download the manual, follow along with us, and we'll continue on our journey of building a positive moral character. Again, we're on page 158. We'll be talking tonight about the building blocks of a respectful reputation. But before we do so, we're going to go back and review a little bit of what we learned last time. Before we go any further, let's go back to LP 6D, and we're going to be on step number 5. Step number 5. It says, tell students that now that they have explored how negative behavior can destroy one's reputation, they will focus on how to develop and maintain a reputation that's respectful. Ask students to name the qualities needed to develop a respectful reputation, and it gives you some of the positive character traits that the Peaceful Solution teaches that might include self-control, discipline, and consistency. Okay, and there's some other ingredients that go into it. We're going to learn tonight about those building blocks of developing a respectful reputation. And it talks about going to the building blocks of a respectful reputation and reputation as character found on page 158 through 162 in their handbooks, and then complete the exercise found on page 162. Emphasize that by consistently demonstrating positive character traits, they can build a respectful reputation that will be a benefit to themselves and others. So before we get into that, let's go ahead and just review a little bit about what we went over last time. Remember, we talked about cause and effect found on page 154. We talked about what the consequences, both short-term and long-term, could be for various activities like shoplifting, premarital sex, skipping school, bullying, and substance abuse. We also went over how that can affect our reputation engaging in these activities, these immoral activities. What you can bet is if it's immoral, then it's going to have a negative effect. Negative meaning it's going to take away. You know, whenever you think of the word negative, you should always think of a minus sign. You're losing something. You're losing many things, including health. Your health is being depleted. Your mental health, your physical health, your emotional well-being is being depleted. It's not being built up, it's being brought down, and that's what we need to remember when we think of negative. It's bringing us down. It's bringing our body and our mind down to a lower state. And so it's not going to be working properly, and if your mind and body aren't working properly, you're going to have a problem, okay? And other people are also going to have a problem because we're having a problem. Because our actions affect other people, not just ourselves. Don't ever forget that. That's one thing we learn in the Peaceful Solution, is that, you know, our actions affect, we have a ripple effect on those around us in our immediate vicinity, those in our community, those in our state, those in our nation, and those even worldwide. We have an effect on them. So we need to remember that. We want to be in our best condition so we can have a positive effect on people. So we went over those consequences, and then we, on page 156, we showed some of the reasons that people make the choice Let me read what it says here on page 156. It says, the second paragraph, let's take a closer look at why people damage their reputations and jeopardize their safety and well-being by deliberately engaging in risk-taking behavior. You can think of risk-taking behavior as any kind of behavior that has the potential to bring harm to yourself, others, or somebody else, or the environment. Anything that can bring any harm in any way, shape, or form to anybody or yourself is risk-taking. Now, you might say, well, flying in an airplane is risk-taking, right? But, here's the thing. You don't hear very many airplane accidents, but you hear a lot of car accidents. Thousands, I think 3,000 plus people die in Texas roads a year. But you don't hear of many plane crashes in Texas, right? So it's very, very much more dangerous to drive an automobile. It's more risk-taking to drive an automobile than it is flying 36,000 feet above the earth. Think about that. So risk-taking in this case isn't traveling or, in your car or in an airplane, but doing things that are immoral. Like, what's that? They had those challenges on YouTube or, online where they challenge children to do certain things that, could damage their health or, their damage. I think it was Tide Pod Challenge they had years back, and I'm sure they have some other ones since then. But things that are daring people to take dares or risks that could jeopardize their health and safety or the health and safety of someone else. Or engaging in premarital sex, shoplifting, stealing, bullying. These are all risk-taking behaviors because you go pushing somebody's buttons, bullying somebody, you might find out that person has absolutely no self-control and they got a gun or a baseball bat or a knife. And, they actually use it on you. So, the first time you bully somebody could be the last time. So it'd be best not to start bullying anybody. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn over some of the excuses, by the way, that people use to deliberately engage in risk-taking behavior is, I was bored, or I just want to be popular, or it can't occur to me. I'm a very important person. So my dad's a cop, or my mom's the mayor, or it can't occur to me. I'm so and so. Well, it can occur to any of us. Also, another excuse is my friends do that stuff. I don't. I just hang out with people that do that stuff. But I won't do that stuff because bad company doesn't corrupt my moral character, I can hang around people that are engaging in immoral activities, but it won't affect me, Mom, That's what we tend to think. But the truth is, you're known by the company you keep. Birds of a feather flock together. So even if you're not stealing and your friends are known as a group of people who steal, you're going to have the reputation of being a thief because you're hanging out with people that are thieving. Another excuse is, I'm old enough to do whatever I want. I'm a big boy or a big girl. I can do whatever I want. And until you get pregnant, and then all of a sudden it's, man, what am I going to do with this baby? And then you're going to go to the state to go look for help because you're not old enough to get a job now and take care of that baby. You're not even old enough to bring that baby up in moral character because you yourself haven't even been taught yet. Okay, so there's going to be a real problem with this teen pregnancy business, as we know from what we've been seeing. By the way, Texas leads the nation in teen pregnancies. Okay, Texas, the state of Texas, where we are today. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at page 158. We're going to start on 158 now. The building blocks of a respectful reputation. And one thing I want you to remember about this particular lesson is that this is just going to get you started in building back a positive reputation. It's not going to occur overnight, okay? It takes time, right? Remember what I said, and I think it was in the last class, trust isn't something people owe you, okay? No one owes you trust once you break trust. But they do owe you respect. And they should owe you enough respect to know that anybody can change. People can change. People can turn around and make better choices, but we need to give them the opportunity. We don't need to think, oh, they're never going to change. We don't know that, Okay, so we need to give them the respect that's due to them as a human being, that we would want shown to ourselves. If we did something wrong, we would want to be able to regain a positive reputation, so we need to give the same to other people. So it says, now that you have explored some of the ways your reputation could be negatively affected, let's look at what it takes to build a positive, respectful reputation. And it talks about the building blocks of a respectful reputation. Let's go ahead and put up that first visual so you can see the building blocks here. Now, it says developing a positive reputation requires, and we'll call these the ingredients, okay? It requires self-control, discipline, consistency, purpose and goals, education, and determination. Those are the 6 building blocks that are necessary to build a positive reputation, or rebuild a positive reputation after we lose. If we had a positive reputation at one time and we lose it, we can still gain it back, okay? But these are the building blocks that are going to be necessary, the ingredients that are going to be necessary to do it. It says, with these 6 main ingredients, you can begin to build and maintain a positive reputation. And maintain, remember what the word maintain means. We learned about it in the second book of the intermediate series, third book, sorry, the self-control manual. We learned about, in chapter 2, we learned about, I think it was chapter 2, about maintaining, might have been chapter 3, maintaining a positive character. Maintaining something means you take care of it. Like you maintain your clothes by ironing them and washing them, folding them and putting them away. Or you maintain your car by checking the fluid levels, the tires, etc. Or you maintain your house, by doing certain chores, keeping it clean, etc. Okay, so we're going to look at each one of these building blocks individually and talk about each one of them tonight in the class. That's as far as we're going to get. We're not going to try to rush through it, because this is very important. We learn what these building blocks are and how we can put them into play to regain a positive reputation. So let's go ahead, or build a positive reputation. Let's look at the next visual. Let's talk first about self-control. All right, self-control. As you remember the STOP acronym. Stop, think, weigh out your options, and proceed with a right choice. And it says, stop and weigh the consequences of your actions. What long and short-term effects can your decision have on yourself and others? The consequences of your actions are not always immediate. You remember, let's go ahead and jump ahead to the next slide, because I want to remind everyone, on page, I believe it was 107 of this very manual, it tells you about what occurs to people who disrespect others in society. And it actually talks about how for every action, it says, you might have heard the saying, for every action there's a reaction, or for every cause there's an effect. Well, for every disrespectful act, there's a reaction in the form of either a natural or a forced consequence. Think of it like this. On most highways, there are speed limits. Although motorists are aware that there are speed limits, some still choose to speed. And yes, it is a choice to speed. Now, I know sometimes if you don't put it on cruise control, it's real easy to, look up at your speedometer and go, oh man, I'm 5 miles over the limit. But you can always at that point back off, you back off the accelerator. You have to, and it takes self-control to do that, because the tendency is to think, well, the cops will let me go 5 miles over the speed limit. Training yourself in that fashion is not smart, because not all cops are going to let you go 5 miles over the speed limit, okay? And especially in a school zone or something, you go 1 mile over the speed limit, they're pulling you over, and you're getting a ticket. And it's a hefty fine, for speeding. Even in a school, even on the highways, is a hefty fine, $300, something like that in Texas. Now, the problem with speeding and not letting off the accelerator when you know you're over the limit, even by 1 mile over the limit, is you're training your brain that it's okay to go past boundaries. I can still cross that boundary even though I know it's against the rules. I can cross that boundary, I'll get away with it. you're training yourself to break the rules and thinking that if I just break the rule a little bit, I'll be okay. I just can't break it a lot. I can't go 10 miles an hour over. No, you don't want to break the rule at all, okay? So that's why we have to train ourselves, with something like this, because it helps us in other areas of our life. Now it says, so there's speed limits on the roads. Although motorists are aware, some choose to speed. If a driver loses control of his car and crashes, this becomes a natural consequence of driving too fast. Because whoever the road people were that designed that road, they said if you go around this curve more than 15 miles an hour, you can end up, off in the ditch or off the side of the mountain, right? Okay, well, if you choose to go over the limit and you choose to take risks or that risk-taking behavior like that, you can end up crashing. So that would be a natural consequence of driving too fast. It wouldn't be anybody's fault, but your own. And if, on the other hand, the driver is pulled over by the police and issued a speeding ticket, now this becomes a forced consequence because, the cop had to turn on his lights, turn on his siren, if he had to, and he had to pull you over. And it's the only time that red, white, and blue represents getting locked up or arrest or something. Usually it represents freedom, but when they're flashing behind you, it's not a great thing. Red, white, and blue is not a great thing. So not every disrespectful, now notice what it says, the underlying portion here. Not every disrespectful act results in an immediate consequence or punishment. It's not always immediate. And see, that's why mankind is set on this road to destruction, That's why sometimes we think in our mind, we're getting away with it. We're getting away with it because, lightning didn't come down and strike me when I stole that candy bar, Nobody tapped me on the shoulder and said, come with me, sir, So we think we got away with it, okay? And we might get away with it for quite some time before it all comes crashing down. So man is set in their ways thinking, I'm getting away with it. I'm getting away with it. Because judgment doesn't come immediately. They think they got away with something. But the fact is, you did get a consequence as soon as you broke the rule. Because you set in your mind now that you can break the rules and you can probably break other rules. And you'll go ahead and try to break some more rules and, eventually it catches up. I think I told you about the guy that I was sitting in Laredo, Texas, and there's a train crossing, and the traffic was backed up about a mile, and it's a two-way street. And all of a sudden, the train arm went down because the train was coming, and I seen this truck just flying past all of us that were sitting in line waiting, for the train to go by. He flew all the way up to that railroad crossing where the arm was getting ready to go down, right? It was going down, and what he did is the arm went all the way down, and then he zigzagged through the arm, and right when he went over the tracks, here comes the train. It looked like, one of those movies, with Daredevil movies. What was that movie? Fast and Furious or something. I told you my friend thought she was a race car driver. She saw Fast and Furious and thought that she could do some of those stunts. But then she decided at the last second, no, I got to practice self-control. I'll probably kill myself, right? But this guy got away with it. He actually got away with it, man, and it looked like a Hollywood stunt. But you know what? He might try that again, and he might not get away with it. In other words, the cop might not see him, or the train might not hit him the first time, but eventually this stuff catches up, okay? So don't forget, don't ever think I got away with it. I got away with it. Even if nobody saw you do it, you know you did it. You want to live with guilt and shame? Is that what you want? You want to live with guilt and shame your whole life? Because if you want that, you're bringing yourself down. You're bringing your body down. You're bringing your mind down. You're taking away from your life. You're taking away from others too, because we need you in the best condition we can have you, okay? Because we care about you. You know, everybody's valuable, right? We've been learning that in the respect unit. Everybody has value. Everybody, regardless of who they are, what color they are, where they're from, what gender they are, etc. Okay, so I'm going to continue to read on that slide. Sorry, I got on a rant there. Okay, just go back to self-control, because I just wanted to show you that not all consequences are immediate as we're reading here. So it says, choosing to do something you know is wrong will ultimately hurt you, whether you get caught or not. Keep in mind that once you have experienced something, it stays in your mind. When you make wrong choices, especially those that are immoral, you will always have to struggle mentally with what you've done. You're always going to have to struggle with it. Okay? So why? Why have the struggle? Why have to struggle with it? Why not just make the right choice and not have all the regrets, the struggles, the sickness, the disease? It says this can result in feelings of guilt and depression. Some people even give up on themselves. And this is the terrible thing right here, when people give up. And then they think there's no way I can make up for the wrong I've done. I'm never going to be forgiven for what I've done. I can't be forgiven for what I've done. And they end up hurting themselves, or they hurt somebody else because they figure, you know what, I might as well just spend the rest of my life in prison. Who cares? Or I might as well just die. Says they continue with the negative behavior until they destroy themselves. Until they destroy themselves. Destroy themselves. Don't let this occur to you. Practice self-control by stopping and weighing the consequences of your actions, and then make a choice that upholds the rules and respect toward yourself and others. And if you're in this condition right now where you have these guilt feelings and you're angry and you're depressed and you're having this confusion in your mind and you're going back and forth and you just don't know what to do because you think you've done such horrible things that you're never going to be forgiven for it, and no one's ever going to forgive you if you tell them you did this or that, get that out of your mind. You can be forgiven for what you've done, you know, but you just have to be willing to start over and build back that positive reputation. Anybody can. That's why we have the ingredients right here. Anybody can do it. Okay, it says anytime, in the box there on page 159, it says anytime you stop and think and decide on an option that upholds the rules of respect, you are practicing self-control. So anytime you decide, on an option that upholds the rules of respect, then you're practicing self-control. Anytime you choose to treat others the way you would like to be treated in a given situation, anytime that you look upon others with the same care and concern that you want shown to you in a situation, then you're practicing self-control. And remember, if you're in this condition where you think that you can't be forgiven for what you've done, okay, you're actually judging yourself and you're condemning yourself, and you have no right to do that. You don't have a right to condemn yourself. What you need to do is pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back on track to a true moral character. Remember that? In the character unit? Don't wallow in the mud. Don't keep rolling around in the dirt thinking, well, I'm too dirty, I'm not going to ever get clean. Yes, you can, but you got to start by getting back up and trying again. I don't care how many times you fall. You just get back. Hey, what if a baby, how many times does a toddler fall before they walk right, What if they fell 10 times and said, I give up. I'm never going to be able to walk, And they crawl the rest of their life, right? The 30-year-old crawling around, right? Because he never learned how to walk. The truth is you have to strengthen your muscles. Strengthen your muscles in your legs. That's why they fall, because their muscles aren't strong enough to hold them up. But the more they get up and they keep trying, they strengthen themselves, and eventually they can get up and walk perfectly. All right, so let's look at the next ingredient here. It's the next one after that. Okay, purpose and goal. Purpose and goal. These are the building blocks of a respectful reputation. So purpose and goal, it says, studies show that people who have positive goals are less likely to take risks that could affect their futures. Remember, a life without direction is a life out of control. I believe that was in the self-control unit. A purpose or goal is a result that you want to accomplish, as well as the course of action you will take to accomplish it. So you see, you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan. Where there's no plan, you can't succeed. Can you imagine trying to build a house without a plan? Or build roads without a plan, or build a city without a planning, any kind of planning? You just start throwing stuff up and, start laying sewer pipes or water pipes and stuff, but you have no plan. You're just laying them everywhere, right? Eventually, you're going to mess something up big time. So you got to have a plan. This does not mean that you should have your entire life mapped out, but knowing that you want to grow up to be an honest, upstanding person is a goal worth achieving. I'm not really screaming, or I'm not mad at anybody. I'm just trying to talk over the rain, okay? So you don't think I'm upset. It says, people who are honest, respectful, and determined can be any positive thing they want to be. Let me say that again. People that are honest, respectful, and determined can be any positive thing they want to be. Okay? You just have to have that goal in your mind. Keep that purpose, your purpose in life, and your goal in mind, and keep your activities honest and respectful. Okay. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, great. I can't, but you can, so great. All right. Let's look at the third building block. The third building block is determination. Determination is when the rain is pounding over your head and you're determined to get this class transmitted to your students that are sitting in front of you, right? And everyone that's joining us online. We're going to get it done, okay? Hopefully, we're determined. So it says to have determination is to have the ability to set your mind in advance to do only those things that are moral and acceptable. So, remember, determination, I know I was looking for pictures. I was looking for pictures that describe determination on Google, and all I can see was I saw pictures of people trying to climb a mountain. They were trying to climb a mountain, or a guy pushing a big old boulder up a mountain. That was their idea of determination. But determination in the peaceful solution is not the determination to climb a mountain, or like Mount Everest or something like that. It's to have the ability to set your mind in advance to only do what's right and never do anything that's immoral. And then once you've been taught what's right, stand firm. Stand firm and do not let anything or anyone influence you to do otherwise. Don't let anyone or anything influence you to do otherwise. That's the determination that we're talking about here. The determination to always make the right decision and never let anyone deter us from a moral character, from that straight path. Remember the road less traveled? The road less traveled is a lonely road. Everybody else is going a different direction. Okay, they're all going against us. You're the fish that's trying to go up against the stream, because the whole world is going the wrong way. You're trying to fight against the stream, like that spawning salmon, the salmon that spawns back home at the end of its life cycle. They're determined to get back to that same river where they were born. To me, that's amazing. But if you ever watch a video about salmon and how their life cycles work, they're born in a certain place, they go out into the ocean, and eventually they come back upstream, and they die in the very place